Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today the final accessory for my Palmetto State Armory dagger arrived, and that is a red dot sight. So let's mount it up. Let's get started. So this is the slide that I got from Palmetto State Armory to make my first attempt at one of their 9mm daggers. From my previous videos, you'll notice I did the custom sights that I usually do on every one of my guns, be it rifles, shotguns, handguns, revolvers, whatever. I paint the front sight orange and the rear sights green. Even in a lower light situation, it really makes finding those sights much easier. And you can easily identify your orange from your green versus a black on black, especially if it's a black background. Hunting in the woods, something of that effect. So I do that across the board. The paint is also glow in the dark, which is very nice. You can opt for different sight heights. There we go, sight heights. And if you do or do not want the milled out portion for a red dot sight. I had mentioned previously in the box, it comes with a plate that you can mount over that opening. I opted to leave it off for mounting a red dot. So this is the Cvlife, I believe it's the Wolf, and I'm going to put here the one that I got. Usually $130, I believe. This one was on sale recently for $80. So I went ahead and the discount, OCD, activate, OCD, calmer. The discount that I got by waiting for this $280 slide to go down to $220 essentially paid for this red dot. So we have a bunch of stuff. It looks like the screws already have some blue Loctite on it, which is nice. It saves me the trouble. And not only do we have a very large window red dot, very nice. I like that's large and wide. I will say there's a bit of a fisheye distortion to it. So watch these lines here as I go by. It may not be as pronounced on camera. There's the least slightest amount of distortion there. Would have, of course, preferred that not to be the case, but maybe that's just a price thing. The weight is fantastic. It's light enough that it's hopefully not going to hinder the operation of the slide, but it's also got, it's a balance. It's light enough, it shouldn't hinder anything, but it's heavy enough I can feel that it's quality. And we only have the 2 buttons on it, which is nice, up and down. Not sure how to turn it on and off. This should have the shake awake, which we'll be testing once we get it mounted. It does come with a adapter plate for if it is not a direct matchup. Looks like it has 2 of the 1632 lithium batteries. We'll be using this one. That's a nice spare. It's a top mounted battery bay, so I don't have to remove this every time to swap out the battery, and that means I don't lose my 0 every time I have to remove this and put it back on, which means I don't have to re-zero it every time. So ease of maintenance kind of thing. I do like that window. And it should be prominent enough and yet at an angle where I can rack this on a countertop or stair or belt or whatever if I need to do a one-handed reload, something like that. But the glass is also recessed enough inside the frame that the glass should never touch because the frame is going to bottom out on both sides. So far I'm really liking it. Just the one screw to hold it in place. They do give you a plethora of Allens here. 2 of them with 4 different bits and tips on them. Let's see if this one fits better. Okay, so these screws haven't been mounted yet, and there is Loctite on them. This one has been used. This one has been put into place, but it was slow to release because it has Loctite on it. So that's pretty nice. Let's re-thread that through. Okay, so I'm going to hold that in place. Actually, I'm pretty sure. Ah, okay. So I can leave that one where it was. That was bad on me. That's actually pretty nice. So it comes with an adapter plate for if your pistol has a different cutout. I believe that's more for Glocks. I think they have a different RMR cutout. But it also has a Picatinny mount. So I could put this on an AR and it would be a very nice low profile, low weight optic. So this is even going to become lighter when I remove the Picatinny mount with these screws. And I believe I will reuse those same screws to mount it into the slide. What you'll see with an Allen, for those of you who don't know how to use them, you have typically the same bit on both sides. It's usually a standard or metric Allen. You'll get more leverage by using the longer arm this way, but it will take longer for you to do a revolution. So what you saw is I broke free the screw, and now I'm using it more as an inline screwdriver, where the longer post is being put onto the screw, and that allows you to spin it off much faster. That weighs nothing. Very, very nice. Okay, so we still do have some Loctite there. I don't really trust it, so let me go ahead and grab my Loctite. It's better to have too much, I suppose. Okay, so we know there already is some Loctite, but wetter is better, am I right? I'm right. Nice. Nice. I'm gonna angle it like this for you. Beautiful. So this is going to be a very well-rounded gun and a prototype for me. I remember when I went through the NRA instructor training, the final shooting qualifications was 16 out of 20 shots on a 12-inch target. I believe 16 out of 20 of the shots had to hit within an 8-inch circle, and it was done at 45 feet away, so 15 yards. Most of the people who had a red dot on their optic passed it first try. I used my CZ75B with night sights, and the first time I missed it by maybe 1 or 2 shots were outside of the group. The second time I ended up passing it, and I think there was one other person who was able to pass it with irons. There were maybe 18 of us in the class. I think 6 of us passed the shooting qual. So all that to say, I'm a big fan of irons. Irons don't require batteries. Batteries corrode, fail, explode, get water on them, short out. Glass breaks, fogs. The metal gets dropped or banged up against something. You lose your zero, all these things. So not the biggest fan of them in general, let alone on a handgun. So this will be a bit of a proof of concept for me. But that is a nice setup. So with the Laser Max, I have a red dot that currently is set to strobe. It draws my eye a little bit better. You can set it to a solid. And then we also have a flashlight in addition to a red dot sight. Now I'm going to look. Nice. So if you line it up properly, and we're going to put a black background in place, I can still use my irons. Not a lot of them. Let's go to the white here. So you can just barely see I have a rather large front sight. A lot of it is blocked, but I still have enough where I can use my irons without having to remove the red dot, which is very, very nice. Next, let's see if we can break free the battery cover. I'm going to point it with the glass up. So when and if this battery cover drops free, it doesn't drop into my glass. It doesn't scratch the glass up. Okay. Both of them are in a little Ziploc bag, which I like. And I'm going to make this Ziploc bag much easier to get into. but that will help with storing that somewhere where now the elements are less likely to get to it and all. There are almost like a castle tower machigulations all the way around it, so you can't just drop it into place. You do have to push it into place. Gonna give it a couple of taps, line it up, push it straight down. Your positive terminal will be up. The writing on the battery will be up. And we're going to line that up. Again, the reverse order for an Allen wrench, we're going to use the long shaft giggity first. We want speed to get everything in place. Once it starts getting snug, we're going to switch to the torque. Leverage bar side, torque it down a little bit. Okay. Nice. And let's go as bright as it'll go. It's not dim. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is off. So it looks like you have 7 clicks. And for giggles, we have off, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To my eye, that 7 is arguably washing out the entire window. Okay, so looking out the window and up against the white wall, it's very starbursty. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 clicks down, and the starburst effect has gone away, and it's still plenty daylight bright. But it is more of a circle the dimmer you go, as opposed to a very large splatter on the higher brightnesses. So I kind of like middle of the road. I will tell you, it's going to be a struggle for me to get used to that red dot. The window is The window is very wide this way, but it is not tall. And I guess that's what you want, because that's going to make finding a holster rather difficult if the thing is as tall as a powered optic. But it is going to take a little bit of hunting around for that. I guess the solution to that would be use the iron sights like you normally do. That'll bring your red dot into play, and you can either go ahead and take the shot with your irons, or you can find your red dot and use those as well. So it's very much on there. There is some wobble to it, this side, but that's actually the slide up against the rest of the gun here, the dust cover, the grip. So that wobble is not in any way that sight being mounted to the frame, but super simple to install, and it gives you a number of different options to install it. You have the Picatinny mounting plate, and then you have the I believe it's again the Glock mounting plate for that. Let me go ahead and put some things away. Let me confirm first. Nice. So the cover it comes with the Palmetto State Armory cutting allows you to still put that into place. There was enough of a gap here to allow that cover to go there. That'll keep dust, condensation, humidity, water, all the things off of it if you're storing it, say, as a car gun. What I am looking to test, that red dot is still on. Let me peruse the instruction manual. This is supposed to have a auto on setting. I want to see how to activate that and whatnot. And then we'll cover up the Loctite and all. And then I will show you how I zero the red dots as well before we take it out and shoot at a time not today. So let me do some perusing. Well, I figure if I'm going to read it, you can too. So this is the WolfCovert 3 MOA sized mini red dot sight. And I will leave this open for if you want to pause the screen, the video. Comes with All sorts of accessories are already covered. How to install the battery, how to install it directly onto a gun if it has the RMR cut. The MOS is the Glock optic system. That's what the plate is for. The Picatinny, if you would like to use the Picatinny mount. And then we get into motion activation. The mini red dot sight is equipped with a motion activation sensing technology, which automatically powers it up when it detects motion. It will enter sleep mode after about 4 minutes, or maybe 2.5 minutes into that. We'll be testing that theory. To power it on, press either the plus or minus button to turn the dot on. Press and hold both of them, or one of them, to turn for 3 seconds, and that will turn the device off, and it will save the current brightness setting. So that's how you would essentially program it. If you know you're going to be going out in the dark, then you don't want it on the brightest setting. It is going to wash out that window, so it will retain that setting that you used. Battery life, up to 500 hours on the brightest setting. On the lowest setting, we're looking at 50,000 hours. They give you a spare battery in the box, which is very nice. And then how to make your adjustments and all. So at this point, I'm going to not touch it, but crouch down and see. The red dot is still on. So far, it's very small. This is a data point of 1. I haven't had a micro red dot like this before, so relatively small. I would have liked a deeper cutout to be able to use the irons a little bit more often. This gun I got with the cutout for a red dot sight. Maybe the next one I get, I won't opt for that, and I can have a little bit lower down irons that are a lower bore axis closest to the barrel, and maybe give me a little bit better precision with those. This one, as we shot, my friend and I, we would be shooting maybe here, and the shots were hitting consistently 4 to 6 inches low. So could be the gun breaking in, could be our individual grips, could be our individual sight pictures, all these things. A benefit to painting your sights is these are not adjustable sights. By painting them, I could make them adjustable in that if the surface is this big, but let's say this is the top of my front sight. If I needed to raise my shots up, I could only paint up to here. That's going to make me raise my muzzle a little bit higher up, and that's going to move my shots up. If my left-right is off, then I can paint a little bit more on this sight than on that sight kind of thing, and I can make it where it will line up more naturally to a point of impact versus the standard point of aim with the non-adjustable sights. With all that said, let's see. Got that red dot is still going. So far, I think all the black matches. I have the red dot laser, the red dot sight, and the flashlight, and the raised suppressor height sights, and the ability to mount muzzle devices or suppressors or the linear compensator, which is probably what's going to end up staying on it. And I have 2 different sighting solutions optically. I have the red dot for lower light. I have the flashlight for lower light and identification. Very handy little setup. All the weight savings of the slide milling here would compensate for probably the red dot sight or the flashlight combo. Maybe not necessarily both of those. When they said 4 minutes, they may have been a little underselling on that. But that red dot is still going. I do want to test the shake awake. I want to see if it's the gun moving or the gun moving, right? Pulling from a holster is going to be a lot more dramatic of a motion versus slowly bringing it up to bear from a countertop. I don't care which one it does. I just want to know which one it does. So bear with me. I may just cut until I get the red dot to turn off. All right, so with some problem solving, I determined laying the gun sideways counts as motion, and it never turned off. So upright, as if it's in a holster, apparently the software recognizes that it hasn't been touched. So I'm gonna, so as soon as I picked it up, it lit up. Interesting. All right, proof that that function works. So now I will show you how I intend to zero this guy, and for that I need to wait for darkness.